Welcome to the Deep Dive. We always bring you the best knowledge from really fascinating material. Today, we're going to be talking about a really interesting topic, money and identity. We're going to be using David Birch's book, Identity is the New Money. And hopefully along the way, we can give you some insights about how technology is going to reshape those two concepts, money and identity.
It is interesting, actually, how we always think of those two things as separate, money and identity.
Yeah.
But it really does seem that they're converging, especially in our digital age.
Birch makes a really bold statement. He says that the systems we have right now for identity are, well, broken. And he has this anecdote about a woman who couldn't open a bank account, even though she had lots of other forms of ID.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a testament to all the bureaucratic hurdles we all face.
It does highlight that the way we do identity now is really rigid and doesn't really fit with how we live in a digital world. And Birch has a suggestion, a new model. He calls it pseudonyms with credentials.
Pseudonyms with credentials, I don't quite follow.
Okay, well, imagine a pseudonym as like a digital alias. It's not your real name. And then credentials would be like attributes, things you can verify without giving away all your details.
Oh,
So you could do transactions, but you don't have to sacrifice privacy.
so like maybe I could have a pseudonym for online shopping that confirms my age and payment method, but doesn't give my name or address.
Exactly. It's all about revealing just enough information, but keeping the rest private.
That's clever. But then, how do we deal with all the problems with privacy and security online? I know Birch talks about something he calls the chat room paradox.
Right. So think of a parent who wants their kid to be in an online chat room. They want to make sure the kid is safe, so they want to know who everyone else in the chat room is. But at the same time, they don't want to give out their own kids' information to strangers. That's the paradox.
It sounds like you can't win. How do you balance safety and being anonymous online?
Birch thinks we could use things like cryptography and digital certificates. Imagine a system where you could prove your age without having to tell anyone your name or where you live.
So basically, technology could build trust without having to compromise privacy. Are there any real examples of this?
Oh, definitely. Countries like Germany, Austria, even Canada, they've all started adding privacy features to their ID systems. So, for example, they use sector-specific ID numbers. So when you use your bank account number, the bank can't access extra information about you, like if you have a police record or anything.
That's really smart. So it's not just a futuristic idea, it's actually happening now.
It is, and it's not just about convenience. It's necessary now that we live in a world so driven by technology.
But how does all of this link back to Birch's idea that essentially identity is the new money?
Well, first, we need to understand how technology has always shaped the way we think about and use money. I mean, even in ancient times, civilizations found ways to exchange value without just using coins or bills.
Yeah, like Birch talks about tally sticks in England. Those are these wooden sticks with notches to record taxes that people owed to the crown.
And what's amazing is that this simple tool that started as a way to keep records, well, it actually turned into a type of currency. You could use it to make purchases and even get credit. It shows how innovation can have totally unexpected outcomes.
Those tally sticks even caused the fire that burned down the Palace of Westminster in 1834. It's a good reminder that technology can have unintended consequences.
It definitely is. And it's almost impossible to predict how new inventions will affect society in the long run.
Okay, but looking forward, Birch thinks cash might completely disappear. He argues that it's really inefficient and burdens the less wealthy.
Getting rid of cash could actually help society, and we have the technology to make it work. Imagine a world where you use your mobile phone and facial recognition for every transaction. No more physical currency.
But wouldn't that be a problem for privacy? I mean, everything you do could be tracked?
You're right, those are valid concerns. And Birch stresses that any new financial system has to put privacy and security first before just focusing on convenience.
Finding the right balance between those things is really important. I remember Birch also talks about the Yap Islanders. They had a unique form of money.
Oh, yes. They used these huge stones as currency. They were so big they couldn't move them. The value of the stones was based on everyone's shared memory and trust.
It's incredible how people figured out how to build trust and do complex transactions even without technology. They were way ahead of their time.
In a way, Bitcoin is similar. It uses a distributed ledger, called the blockchain, to keep track of who owns what and to make sure there's a limited supply. Just like the Yap Islanders all knew who owned which stone.
So even though Bitcoin is digital, the basic idea of a shared record of ownership is the same. But Birch does say that Bitcoin isn't completely anonymous, like a lot of people think.
That's right. It can be hard to trace transactions back to specific people, but it's not impossible. Everything is recorded on the blockchain, which is public and permanent.
So it's like leaving a digital footprint. Even if you're not identified right away, your actions can be traced. Birch talks about assassination markets that were linked to Bitcoin, which is a scary example of how anonymous transactions can be really dangerous.
It's a stark reminder that we have to think about the potential consequences for society as we create new financial systems. Birch then shifts his focus to the future of money, suggesting that we're moving towards a world with lots of different currencies and ways to pay, all driven by technology.
It's exciting to think about all the possibilities. Birch talks about M-PESA in Kenya. This mobile payment system has really helped people and boosted their economy. It shows how technology can make financial services accessible to everyone.
M-PESA is a great example. And what's really interesting is that your transaction history on M-PESA can actually be used to determine your creditworthiness. So your identity and your financial reputation become linked.
So basically, our financial activities become part of our digital identity, and that affects how we interact online. And then there's this concept of social currencies that Birch discusses.
He talks about how corporations and online communities could start issuing their own types of money, each with its own specific values.
Just imagine. Brands, online platforms, even local communities could have their own currencies. It would be like a whole new world of economic activity.
Birch even mentions something called the Brixton E-Pound, which is a real-life community currency. It's like a preview of what the future could hold, where money goes beyond just traditional banks and institutions.
So we're not just going cashless. It seems like we're heading towards a world with many different currencies, where identity, reputation, and social connections will play a crucial role in economic exchange.
To thrive in this new world, it's essential to understand these trends. As Birch emphasizes, the impact of these changes will be much bigger than we can even imagine right now.
It's almost overwhelming to think about all the possibilities and implications. It feels like we're on the edge of a completely new era for both money and identity.
We are. Birch does a great job of summarizing the key takeaways from his work, reminding us that in the digital age, identity and money are becoming deeply intertwined.
He highlights the problems with our current identity systems, which are bureaucratic and don't really capture how we live online. But he also stresses that technology can offer a better way, one that protects our privacy and security.
The concept of pseudonyms with credentials is particularly intriguing. It provides a way for us to manage our complex digital identities and choose what information we want to share in different situations.
And then there's the possibility of cash disappearing altogether, replaced by seamless digital transactions that rely on our digital identities. It's a future where convenience and security come together.
It's not just about replacing cash, it's about expanding our understanding of what money can be. Birch paints a picture of a world with a variety of currencies, from those issued by corporations to community-based ones and even those fascinating social currencies.
It's like a whole spectrum of economic possibilities. And Birch leaves us with this thought-provoking idea. The true impact of these changes will likely be far greater than we can currently fathom. He urges us to think about how these shifts might change our lives and interactions in the years to come.
He challenges us to move beyond our traditional view of identity as something fixed and to embrace its fluid and multifaceted nature in the digital world.
He envisions a world where our digital identities become more than just identifiers. They become repositories of our reputation, connections, and values.
It raises important questions about data ownership, privacy, and the potential for discrimination or exclusion based on our digital footprint.
We need to make sure these new systems don't just perpetuate existing inequalities or create new ones. We need to think about how they might impact marginalized communities, those without access to technology, or those who are vulnerable to exploitation.
Absolutely. Birch's work serves as a catalyst for these critical conversations. He doesn't provide all the answers, but he encourages us to confront these complex issues and create a future that benefits everyone.
Birch encourages us to think critically and proactively about how to shape the future of money and identity in a way that benefits everyone. He urges us to consider how these technological developments can be used for good, to solve problems, rather than exacerbate existing ones.
One of the crucial points Birch makes is the potential shift from anonymity to pseudonymity. He argues that while complete anonymity can lead to harmful activities, like the assassination markets we discussed earlier, pseudonymity offers a balance between privacy and accountability.
So rather than aiming for complete anonymity, which can be dangerous, we should strive for systems that give individuals control over how much of their identity they reveal in different contexts.
Exactly. This could involve using different pseudonyms for different activities with varying levels of verification and reputation attached to them. Imagine a world where you have a pseudonym for political discussions, another for online gaming communities, and another for financial transactions.
It's a fascinating concept that allows people to compartmentalize their online identities, protecting their privacy while still fully participating in the digital world.
It also opens up possibilities for building trust and reputation within certain communities. Picture a platform where users earn reputation points by contributing valuable content or participating constructively in discussions. This reputation could then grant them access to special features or privileges within that community.
It's like a decentralized system of trust building where reputation is earned through actions and contributions rather than dictated by central authorities.
That aligns with Birch's vision of a more decentralized and diverse financial ecosystem where social currencies have a significant role. He imagines a world where communities, brands, and even individuals can issue their own currencies, each tailored to their particular needs and values.
It's a radical departure from our current centralized financial system, which is often opaque and inaccessible to many. But how would these alternative currencies gain traction and become widely accepted?
Birch suggests that adoption will be driven by convenience, shared community values, and the desire for more control over one's financial assets. Imagine a local community issuing a currency that can be used to support local businesses, creating a more resilient and self-sufficient local economy.
Or a brand creating a loyalty program where customers earn tokens for engaging with the brand and can then redeem those tokens for exclusive products or experiences.
These examples show how social currencies can encourage positive behaviors and strengthen bonds within communities. They also offer a way to bypass traditional financial institutions and empower individuals to directly participate in the economy.
It's an exciting prospect, but it also raises questions about regulation, stability, and the potential for abuse. How can we make sure these new systems are fair, transparent, and don't create new forms of inequality?
These are crucial questions that need to be addressed. As with any emerging technology, there will be challenges and potential pitfalls. But Birch's work serves as a valuable roadmap, inspiring us to think critically and proactively about how we shape the future of money and identity in a way that benefits everyone.
Maybe it will be helpful to condense some of the key insights we've gathered from Birch's work to guide our listeners as they navigate this evolving landscape.
Certainly. Let's synthesize the core ideas we've discussed today into a concise framework for understanding how identity and money are converging in the digital age. Makes you think how all this will change how we live and interact with each other. It's not just about, understanding the technical stuff about digital currency, managing your online identity. It's really about the bigger impact on society as a whole.
So, how do we even begin to navigate this new world where identities are connected and the things we use for money are changing all the time? What uh, what ethical things should we be thinking about as we design these new systems? Are there any unintended consequences we might run into?
Well, Birch doesn't really dive deep into the ethics, but he does say that we need to be careful and really think things through as we develop these new systems. He wants us to imagine a future where identity and money are completely interwoven, affecting everything, how we interact with each other, our political systems, even our sense of self.
That's a big idea, that these changes could affect us so deeply.
Right.
It really shows how important it is that we shape this future, make sure it reflects our values and what we want as a society.
You got it. The choices we make right now will have effects for generations to come. It's not about predicting the future, but about starting the conversation, questioning our assumptions, and guiding these innovations in a responsible way.
Birch really wants us to move past this idea that identity is fixed and unchanging. He says we need to accept that it's fluid and complex, especially in the digital age.
He imagines a world where our digital identities are more than just labels. They're like a record of our reputation, our social connections, even our values. But then that raises questions like who owns our data? What about privacy? And could this lead to discrimination? People being treated differently because of their digital footprint.
We definitely don't want these new systems to worsen inequality or create new problems.
Mm.
We have to consider how they'll affect people who are already marginalized, Maybe those who don't have access to technology or those who are vulnerable to being taken advantage of.
Absolutely. Birch's work is like a starting point for these important discussions. He's not giving us all the answers, but he's definitely making us think about these difficult issues and how to build a future that works for everybody.
It's a call to action for all of us. We need to critically assess the implications of these advancements in technology and ensure they're used for the betterment of society, not for exacerbating existing social issues.
And one really important point he brings up is moving from anonymity to pseudonymity. He argues that being completely anonymous can lead to bad stuff, like those assassination markets we discussed. But using pseudonyms could strike a balance, between privacy and accountability.
So instead of trying to be totally anonymous, which could be used for harmful things, we should aim for systems that let individuals control how much of their identity they reveal and in what situations.
Exactly. This could involve using different pseudonyms depending on the activity, each with its own level of verification and reputation attached to it. Imagine a world where you could have one pseudonym for engaging in political discourse, another for online gaming communities, and yet another for financial transactions.
That's interesting. It would allow individuals to separate their online identities, safeguarding their privacy while actively participating in the digital realm.
It also creates opportunities to build trust and reputation within specific communities. Consider a platform where users earn reputation points for contributing valuable content or engaging constructively in discussions. These points could then be used to unlock features or privileges within that community.
It sounds like a decentralized system for building trust, where reputation is earned through contributions and actions, not determined by some central authority.
And that fits perfectly with Birch's vision of a financial ecosystem that's more decentralized and diverse, one where social currencies play a major role. He imagines communities, brands, even individuals issuing their own types of money, each tailored to their specific values and needs.
That's a huge shift from our current financial system, which, let's face it, is pretty centralized, opaque, and inaccessible to many. But how would these new currencies gain traction and become widely accepted?
Birch thinks it'll happen because they're more convenient. They reflect the values of the community, and people want more control over their finances. Imagine a local community creating its own currency that you can use to support businesses right there in your neighborhood. It could make the local economy stronger and more self-reliant.
Or a company could create a rewards program where customers earn tokens for engaging with the brand. Then, they could use those tokens to buy special products or experiences.
Those examples show how social currencies can encourage behavior that benefits everyone and build stronger connections within communities. Plus, they allow people to sidestep traditional financial institutions and participate directly in the economy.
It's an exciting possibility, but it also raises concerns. Regulation, stability, the potential for misuse. How do we ensure these new systems are fair, transparent, and don't worsen inequality?
Those are all important questions that need to be addressed. Like any new technology, there will be challenges. But Birch's work is a valuable guide. It encourages us to think critically and take an active role in shaping the future of money and identity for the benefit of all.
Maybe to help our listeners, we could try to summarize some of the key takeaways from our exploration of Birch's work to give them some guidance as they navigate this changing landscape.
Definitely. Let's take the core ideas we've talked about and put them together into a clear framework, something that will help people understand how identity and money are merging in this digital age.
All right, let's do it. What are some of those key points?
Well, the first one is this. Identity is more than just your name or a number. It's complex, and it keeps changing. It's becoming like our most valuable asset in this digital world.
And while technology can help us protect both our privacy and our security, it also comes with risks, right? We have to be careful about how it's used.
Absolutely. And cash, well, it seems like it's on its way out. But whatever we use instead, it needs to prioritize our privacy and our security, not just be convenient.
And it sounds like the future of money is all about diversity and decentralization, with all sorts of new currencies and ways to pay popping up.
Yeah, and social currencies, the ones based on trust and reputation within communities, those are going to be really important in this new world.
It also seems like companies and online platforms are going to have a big role to play in this new financial system.
Definitely. Trust and reputation are going to be the foundations of this new economy, and our digital identities will be the key.
And as we explore all of this, we can't forget about the ethical side of things and the potential risks that come with any new technology.
Right, because these changes aren't just about money, they're going to impact how we interact socially, our political systems, even how we see ourselves.
It's a lot to think about. The future isn't set in stone, though. We can shape it through the choices we make and by being responsible with innovation.
Exactly. Those are 10 important things to remember as we move into this future where identity and money are so closely connected.
This has been a really insightful deep dive. It's made us rethink some fundamental ideas about how our world works. Thanks for joining us, and remember, we have the power to create the future we want.